Welcome to this interesting, nice round in our panel discussion, Experiencing AI. That was the slogan that I saw at an event poster yesterday when I traveled to Ludwigsburg yesterday morning. And all of us, we were here also walking over the grounds yesterday, and of course we saw AI everywhere. We were sitting yesterday in the afternoon with the colleagues who were on the center stage today, and AI is one of the big topics, of course. It's not just in the professional context and what we're dealing with every day, but also in the private context. Everyone knows the language assistants on the phones or the personalized online shop that offers exactly what you would like to see and hear. And this is what we would like to talk about today, more from an industry perspective, however. And to achieve that, to make sure that I don't have to just tell you from my perspective, I have a couple of colleagues with me who know more. Michael on the left, for about 6 months, he's been with MHP. He's from his own startup now. He's working with DSC as a product manager for the fleet executor. And next to me, left to me, Moritz. Moritz and myself, well, we actually have known each other for 4 years. We're working in various projects. So from consulting, we actually went into production, the digitization of production, and now we're doing this at the operational level in product business. Moritz, our product manager. And in the middle, Simon. Simon is actually from next door, if you will, Porsche Digital, and he's been with MHP for 1 year now. And he not brought only himself and the team, but also the Sounce product, and he is the product manager of it. And at the beginning, we talked a little bit about why the 4 of us are here now. Simon, let me ask you, why are you here as a product manager and not a data science expert? Well, he was not able to be here today. No. Well, because I think that AI is a topic that's not just for the data scientists, but everyone in the team, especially those with a business context, when it's about the implementation and marketing of these products. So it's really important to work on this in a regular and intense way. Yes, and we're also working on this at regular intervals. Not just with Simon, but with all 3 of them. I am in continuous collaboration with go-to-market activities and everything that's part of this, and this is why we all know each other really well. And of course, we do not do this in a vacuum, but in one unit. It's called Industrial Cloud Solutions, and maybe you know what Daniel and Martin said. It's a dedicated unit, and for 1.5 years it's been in place, and it's working on products and software solutions for production, for logistics, not just developing them, but also commercializing them afterwards. And then also bringing it and transferring it into the group, but also the external market. So, buzzword ICS, we mentioned it before, Sounce, the very first product. Tell us about it. Well, what we're doing there is we're evaluating the product quality using acoustic data. So everything that happens in production, of course, generates acoustic data, whether it's in the production process, on the line or end of line where we have testing. Here we use AI to assess this acoustic data, and then we can assess the product quality based on that. Yes, we've heard this frequently. Now tell us how this is translated into practice. Well, from theory to practice would be that you have a welding point, for example, or an X-ray pipe, a complex product, and you know whether the component is okay or not okay. And we use deep learning algorithms to train a model that we can continuously improve. So we can say, okay, this X-ray pipe or plug is okay or not okay. I know all of this, of course, but I have to ask for you. And I also know the answer to the next question. Is that really working? Are you successful with Sounce? Well, of course, it depends on what you think is successful. But in Porsche Leipzig, we're using it, and also in Porsche Weissach. And 2 weeks ago, we also plugged it in at Hirschmann, an automotive supplier. They also use it on the shop floor now. They're testing 70,000 products with it every day. And in the next couple of weeks, we're also going to roll it out with 2 or 3 other customers. So we've now come to this situation where we have POCs. So how can it really be used in serious production continuously? Now, so you're still in the starting phase, or maybe just launched is painted. It's also for quality control, but it's for painting. So this means I heard that, it's used in the paint shop of big automotive suppliers, and the goal of painted is not only to look at the structure, the shades, and the paint, but also the thickness of the coating that can be measured. And this data is recorded. And in our discussions, I always heard that, of course, you make the production processes faster and more efficient. We can increase the quality, but at the same time, we can also save resources. Is that an important thing? Yes, of course. The background is that we do have the data. Of course, we have been collecting data for many years, but we're not using them really. So now we've seen that a change is happening. AI also plays a role, but we also use these models that help us with the analysis. So they offer simple models for the analysis of the data, and painted is an example. You mentioned it. So we would like to improve the quality of a paint shop, and the paint shop is so important also for sustainability because it's by far the largest consumer of resources. So Fraunhofer Institute published a study, and they said that the paint shop accounts for 45% of the total resources of the automotive supplier's plant. So that's a big lever, and that plays an important role. If you want to save energy and costs, then paint shop is really, really important, and this is why we're focusing exactly on that. So we do have the opportunity with the quality optimization now, for example, in the field of material savings, for example, you could reduce the coating thickness. So this means you consume less material, you need less media, and so on, and you also consume less energy because the oven time also is reduced because, of course, it doesn't take that long to dry. So the levers are really big, and this is where we want to get in. Now, of course, the title of this talk is AI on the shop floor. Tell us how you would like to use AI, or how are you using it today? Now, what I mentioned at the beginning is part of that. Well, of course, we're collecting a lot of data already. There is so much data, and AI enables us to better analyze that data and derive measures from that. Now, where we saw where's the biggest demand in the external market is, for example, in this complex process of paint shop. So we can derive recommendations from the data. So based on the data that I collected and the results measured with our app, we can say, okay, if you adjust this or that and tweak here or there, then you can optimize your process. Okay. Now, I don't have an elegant transition now, but let's move up the production or manufacturing line, moving from paint shop to intralogistics. Now, maybe some of you have seen that today, or also saw the AGV buffet. We do have the official track over there, and we also have a colleague running around. So it's based on the fleet executor. 2 sentences, Michael. What is that? Well, the AGV, automated guided vehicles, is not a new system, of course. It's been in place since the 1970s. And in the AGVs, the challenge is that manufacturer A cannot communicate with manufacturer B. So manufacturer A can communicate with other devices of the same manufacturer, but with various manufacturers it's a problem. And we have a fleet control system, the fleet executor. So we use the software product with the software that is uploaded onto these AGVs, independent of the manufacturer, and we can control all of these AGVs. So this means this is kind of merging various hardware components. Now, tell us what role AI plays. What's the impact of that? How does it help you to improve or make more efficient these intralogistical processes? Well, if you do not have just one AGV as a showcase here, but if you imagine that there are 40 AGVs in a production process or on the shop floor, then of course it's really complex. You have different charging stations for the battery. The different products have to be transported from A to B. You know, there's positioning. You need the ideal route that has to be defined. And these transport services or jobs, so making sure that an AGV goes from A to B in the most efficient way. This is what our AI, what our product does. Well, I actually had to disclose yesterday that I thought that AGV was a newer thing, but it's actually not the case. You mentioned it. It's been in place since the 1970s, so why are we still talking about this? Or, let me put it differently, why are we now again talking about this technology that's so old? Well, the AGVs have never been eliminated. They've always been there. But of course, now there is a new boom and drive, and there are several reasons. Of course, first of all, the shortage of skilled laborers and the labor costs. In Central Europe, they are high. So this means the necessity for automation is there. But of course, the devices have also been developed further with sensors. For example, the Sherpa AGV that really follows you. This is something that would not have been possible 50 years ago with the sensors used then. And what we're doing here, the software, that's also something that changes something. Because, you know, now it's so much faster. 50 years ago, that was so much more difficult. Of course, MHP does not produce hardware because people ask me frequently, but we have a software product, the Fleet Executor. That's our product. If you want to learn more, over there we have the Fleet Executor launch. Just stop by and ask us. Michael, you're looking into the past. Now you have to look into the future. If we have all the options, and we also heard today that we have so many different fields of application for AI, so take us on your journey. What do you think is the future of AI in production? Well, what we are seeing now in our discussions with the external market is that with AI and the models behind it, we have totally new opportunities. So we often start with a very focused use case, so a very small case. Now, what we can notice now is that with AI, with the help of AI, first of all, you can change vertically. So this means that in one specific process, you can go in much deeper, and then we can also change horizontally, meaning that the application use case, so for example here, automotive industry, paint shop, and so on, you can broaden that much more. And what we have also thought about, for example, is that you could say, okay, we'll go from automotive towards aerospace or the furniture industry. This is also where you have to check the thickness of coatings, for example, or there is also the option to go into the medical sector. If you go to the medical sector, then, you know, it could also be for skin or surface structures and so on. I mean, they're also working with surfaces. So the AI makes it possible to move from this very specific use case towards skin transplantation or whatever. And Michael, let me ask you, is that part of the portfolio? Will we have new skin scanners or for the furniture industry? You're talking to many different product managers, so where are we headed? Which AI solutions are in our pipeline or our portfolio? In addition to the Fleet Executor, there are of course many other products, and the contact person for that is Daniel Changan, who is sitting here in the first row. He's happy if you contact him. But to give you a specific example, Smart Twin and Unbolded, they are already in the pipeline. They will be launched soon in the market. And beyond that, we also have a pipeline of products that are not ready to be launched, but they will soon be. Fabian Seidel is a colleague of mine. He is filling this pipeline. So there is a lot happening and coming up for different use cases. Our AI is used differently. And of course, the product manager is responsible, can tell you more than about that. And maybe that was a good overview of what we try to offer with our solutions, with our AI solutions every day. And yesterday, well, quite spontaneously, we also thought about ending this like we started. So Simon, at the beginning I asked you why we don't have the data scientists here but you. Now I'll ask, why are we sitting here, and who will be here next year or the year after? Will we then just have AIs? Well, I think it depends on whether we will still be sitting here, how much applause we will get. It will probably be decisive for that. And of course, we can see that AI is on the rise. Everyone has used ChatGPT a couple of times. In production, we see that so many POCs are implemented. And however, it's not used broadly yet. So in addition to the technical challenges that we're facing with, we also have to deal with ethics, data protection issues. These are things that will decelerate this process. So this means that we will not be replaced by AI next year. Simon mentioned the use case now. And I think with the painted Sounce and the fleet executor, we do have 3 products that we do not only have concepts for, but that we actually have launched with customers. And for me, well, the question now is, what is that what you will take home from these 20 minutes? And what we would like you to take home is to know that we maybe not have AI at the top level, but we have AI that has been implemented. And I think that is an important step to become more efficient. And I'll now close this session with something that AI cannot do: having fun. I wish you a lot of fun with everyone on our festival, and thank you so much for being here. Also to Michael, Simon, and Moritz. And if you have any questions, please just ask us. Thank you.